One of the big stories of the day is Father of the House, which I think means the longest-serving MP, Sir Peter Bottomley, MP for Worthing West, has claimed that it's really grim to live on £82,000 a year, as he argued yesterday that MPs should be paid the same as GPs, interestingly. Now, the average UK salary for full-time employment is £31,460 for the tax year ending last April. So the big question is, are we saying that our MPs are worth more than twice that, maybe 3 times? Delighted, though, for all that his comments have caused. He's decided to come on Talk Radio. Sir Peter Bottomley, welcome to Drive.
Hello, Jeremy.
Welcome. Why, in your opinion, would MPs be worth more?
Well, starting further back, this is a New Statesman interview, and I recommend people just look it up, New Statesman interview, Peter Bottomley, and read the whole thing. The bit in the middle is saying how I thought universal credit shouldn't just be cut off straight out, it should be tapered. And there are many other things there about dealing with the lives of people whose lives are poor, disadvantaged, handicapped, and challenged. That was what the main part of the interview was. And if the headline had happened to be interview with MP challenges government on universal credit, the interview would be very different. The point I made was not an increase in pay for myself. As explained, I didn't need it. I don't have dependent children. I don't have a ruinous mortgage. I've got a convenient, it's hard life, I work hard, but it's convenient for me. That's not the problem. The problem is the younger ones who can't speak up for themselves. I can, I will, and I do. And I did first in 1977 when Enoch Powell interrupted me and said, but don't you know there are more candidates than there are places? And the good Labour MP, Mike Thomas, put back to him, would you be happy if the pay was so low there were only 635 candidates for 635 seats? At which point Enoch Powell sat with his waistcoat mumbling about the impertinence of those who had not been in the House of Commons very long. The truth is, in those days, if you were the publicity officer for National Union of Teachers, you take a cut in your pay of 25% to be an MP. If you want good doctors to be MPs, how much of a cut in their salary should they take to be an MP to serve the public as a member of Parliament?
Do you think an MP does as worthwhile a job as a GP?
If you then ask the MP from them to pick the person who's going to be Secretary of State for Health, and I happen to have a former Secretary of State for Health beside me who was an MP, that simple answer is yes. If you want to have someone who can be Secretary of State for Defence, and remember, we've got a lot of people now in the House of Commons who are in the military services, Labour and Conservative. We used to have Paddy Ashdown, the Liberals. I don't see why a brigadier in the army should take a major pay cut. And if someone thinks their MP is not worth the money, how about changing the MP and getting a better one rather than change the money so you pay less?
I'm interested in your angle. £82,000 to many people is a massive salary. But when you say they deserve more, I mean, I've heard all about Enoch Powell. Why are you saying that an MP should get more than £82,000? In layman's terms, why?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you take people who've made real success in life, so, for example, I don't want to personalise it. In fact, the first time I had this argument was with a former newspaper editor called Stuart Stephen, who we ended up discussing MPs' pensions, which he thought were rather excessive. So he asked me about them. I told him, I said, you? And he said, by the time I stopped being an editor of 2 national papers, I had a pension pot of £10 million and had a pension of £1 million a year. So I said, thanks. The article was about my nose being in the trough. If you take someone who is assistant head of a large comprehensive school, the sort of person you want to have in the House of Commons, had leadership experience, led children into better lives, how much pay cut should they have to get into the House of Commons? If you take someone who's a senior fire officer in a fire and rescue team, how much pay cut should they have to come
But your salary of £82,000, Sir Peter, with respect, is a basic. You lot coin hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds in expenses, don't you? Thousands of pounds.
Jeremy, name one perk for members of Parliament.
For what?
Name one perk for members of Parliament.
Don't you get expenses for a secretary and for assistants and for office and for travel?
Who pays for your travel? Who pays for your...
I do, sir. Genuinely, I do.
Hang on, Jeremy.
I do.
The person who rang me up to arrange me to come on this programme, you didn't pay them.
I don't pay them.
No, you don't.
No. Well, what's that got to do with me asking you why MPs are worth more money?
You said MP. I asked you for a perk. You said MPs have secretaries. Do you think I should pay my secretary out of my... You'd only get the rich being MPs then, wouldn't you? Do you want that?
So there aren't MPs who employ their family members and their wives and take £16,000 a year on top of their salary?
If I may say so, that's a separate issue. If you're saying MPs' expenses include their staff, people who have helped to get people out of Afghanistan, the people who are helping to get people.
I'm not against you, Peter, but you won't answer the question. Why are MP? All you tell me is about GPs and whatever. I'm asking you this. I know you very honestly said that you didn't need it. I'm sure after the years and the work that you've done, I know that you've got houses. I know you're an unpaid director. I know you've got all those things going on. And you're talking about the younger MPs who maybe come into the Commons. What I'm asking you, what I've always tried to do with this, is put myself in the shoes of the people listening, okay? Listening to this radio programme. Your opening gambit, which was very honest, was that you talked in that New Statesman interview about universal credit. Obviously, the timing, they're going to take the line, I think MPs should get more on the week that they cancel universal credit, £20 a week, £1,000 a month. I'm simply asking, after the party conferences and after all the struggles and hassles that people listening to this radio station are going through, no petrol, the potential of no gas prices going through the roof, Christmas cancel, whatever you want to say, these things matter to the people on the streets of the United Kingdom. What I'm asking you is, what do you think they think about an MP saying 82 grand a year isn't enough? It's not about me. I'm asking you how you think that's going to go down with the people of the United Kingdom.
I think if they heard the last time I spoke on the floor of the House of Commons about MPs' pay, I said MPs shouldn't get a pay rise between general elections. So that's saying no pay rise. The fact that there have been a few headlines saying MP or Peter Bottomley asked for pay rise, which is directly contradictory to what I said in public, in front of heaven knows how many journalists, strikes me as not saying much about what I have to say. It's how the media have actually picked this up. The truth is that I have not asked for a pay rise for MPs until after the next general election. I think that you should be able to get people into politics from all walks of life without some of them having to drop too much of their pay. That's all.
Are you saying from that because of the salary, and this does interest me, this point enormously, that MPs, well, people being attracted to being MPs aren't the right quality, and if we paid more, we'd get better quality MPs?
It's a slight twist on that, which isn't being politician, it's just being truthful. You get more good people coming in if they didn't feel disqualified by the conditions and the pay.
Yep.
I think that if you take that deputy head of a large comprehensive school, the sort of person I'd like to see in Parliament, very few of them come in because they would actually drop their standard of living significantly.
Ian Duncan Smith said on this show yesterday that being an MP was a vocation. It was not a job he does for money. He saw his role of one of service. What do you say to that, Sir Peter Bottomley?
Well, I say he's using the same words as I used in the interview, which is why I suggest people read the New Statesman interview with my words directly. And then if they want to, then give me a ring and have a discussion.
Okay, I really appreciate it. Final question. If an MP who's being paid £82,000, you as an example, was working in the private sector, how much do you think you'd be worth?
Well, it depends what I was doing. If I was doing my old job, putting neon lights outside Pearson Cinemas at the West End, I'd probably be worth somewhere between 50 and 90,000. But I'm not doing that. I used to do that when I was 30. I've been an MP since then. I've been a minister for a time. I think it's some of the things I do.
You think you're worth more, but you said it wasn't about you because you didn't need the money.
Correct.
So it's not about you, or it is about you.
In the article, it says it's not about me. I say to you in front of your listeners, it's not about me. I would do the job for free, and the words that Ian Duncan Smith used are similar to the ones I used in the interview, but they haven't.
How much do you think an MP should be paid to finish, Sir Peter? And I really appreciate you being on Talk Drive. How much do you think would be a realistic figure?
First of all, we've got too many MPs. If you drop it to below 600. But secondly, I think a general practitioner in politics should be paid about the same as a general practitioner in medicine.
How much?
So you could that's 100,000 to 700. Sorry, 100,000 plus £700 a year is what they get, and I believe you should be able to move from a doctor to being an MP without a significant cut in your standard of living.
Do you see your job as a vocational one or one to make money?
It's certainly not one to make money. If I'd done that, I would never have come in. When I came into Parliament for the first time, I cut my pay by about a quarter and increased my expenses.
But you did it because it was about service. But what you're saying is 100 grand, you would attract, you believe, we would attract better people into Parliament, yes?
More better people. We've got good people, but many of them are church vicar type people, and many of them are
church
quite well
vicar
off.
type people?
Yeah, people. The vicar gets paid about £25,000 a year, and many of them are far cleverer than I am.
Interesting. I really appreciate it, though. Thank you, Sir Peter, Father of the House. Sir Peter Bottomley, Conservative MP for Worthing West, saying on Talk Drive, MPs don't get paid enough at 82,000. And when he did the interview with the New Statesman on the week that universal credit was cancelled, that was what the interview was about. It wasn't about the fact that 82,000 was not enough. He doesn't need the money. He's got directorships and houses all over the shop, apparently, according to the records that you can get from Parliament. It's not about that. It's about if we paid £100,000 a year, this is priceless, right? What we get is we get better quality. So the Father of the House is basically saying most MPs are not very good. Talk Drive.